Friday, April 28th, we have the second to last episode here of the Top 100 Breakdown. I'm Aram Layton. He's Jack McLean. It's the call-up. We have 25 to 10 here, or 25 to 11 here that we're going to go through, and then we'll save the top 10 for the final episode where it'll be a little bit longer on each player. Jack, before we get into this 25 to 10 or 11, whatever we're going to do there, you had a couple awesome opportunities here to see Gavin Williams' AAA debut. Cleveland Guardians right-handed pitching prospect was awesome. I got to watch that, got to listen to you. So it was a cool little combination there. And then you've got to see some awesome things going on so far in AAA. Matt McLean has been red hot. We're going to talk a little bit about that. James Outman has been the best player on planet Earth, which is hilarious because I gave you crap for picking him so early in our redraft that we did before the season. But Jack, floor is yours on Gavin Williams' AAA debut that you got to be front and center for and call.
Well, first for the YouTube crowd, I thought you were going to make fun of me for my setup now. I've got a headset. I may sound a little different. I'm at the ballpark. Like typically I do it from home with my blue mic, with my Yeti. But I was at a lunch for the Parks and Rec Foundation of Indianapolis. I saw Mayor Joe Hogsett speak.
They make you do some crazy stuff.
No, I mean, I volunteered to go. They said, hey, we have an open seat. I was like, I'll do something for a free luncheon. It was pretty cool. It was the Parks Foundation. So, no, I'm in the ballpark. Gives me a chance to show off the Bob Carpenter scorebook, which is pretty cool. So I pulled up a Mason Wynn 2-hole Memphis Redbirds lineup. Memphis, by the way, I think won 15 of their last 16. Ooh. Utterly incredible what they're doing. But, yeah, man, Gavin Williams yesterday morning, it was at 11 a.m. first pitch. It was fun. I sent you a text. It's like, hey, Gavin, welcome to AAA ball. Here in the International League, you play at 11 a.m. in Indianapolis for your AAA debut, which is just insane. But you know what? He looked like he woke up at 7:30 in the morning and was like ready to rock.
Yeah.
It was a matchup that looked great on paper. Gavin Williams and Quinn Priester. And Quinn has struggled a little bit. Quinn, by the way, might I tell you, passes the makeup test with flying colors. I've got a chance to.
That's the report I've never seen someone's makeup highlighted more than Quinn Priester's in the most positive way possible.
It's awesome. I've interacted with him a couple of times now at the start of the season, and like I walked away wowed. I was like, that guy smiles, he laughs, he's willing to talk about anything. We talked about the Grateful Dead, dude. I love pitchers that can talk about listening to the Grateful Dead based off of his sister's recommendations. So, yeah, Quinn Priester passes the makeup test with flying colors, but it was Priester and Gavin Williams at 11 a.m. on a Thursday. And I was thinking, okay, this game has the makings to go really quickly. Scoreless through 4. Like, both those guys looked excellent. And then Priester struggled top 5. But Gavin Williams finished the job. I think he was 5 2/3 shutout ball. And the first guy out of the pen stranded 2 for him. So scoreless in his first AAA start. He was so impressive, man. And like, obviously we've talked about fastball slider. And I think we already talked about Gavin. But fastball slider, really impressive. He was in the mid 90s. It was cold. Like I didn't see him get up to 98, 99. I know he can on like a warm day. That makes a lot of sense. Slider was excellent. I saw you clipped a couple of uncomfortable swings by Indians hitters. The thing that jumped out to me most was, for the most part, he's been a 2-pitch guy so far this year. He threw that curveball a lot. And I know that curveball was sitting in the mid to high 70s in double in his first couple of starts in Akron. That thing was like 73 to 74.
Yep.
And it was a perfect third look off of a mid 90s high spin fastball, played well top of the zone. A great slider in the mid to high 80s. He would loop in 74, and it has a ton of vertical drop. I mean, that thing is like, from a big body, looked pretty 12-6-ish or 11-5-ish. I'm all in on what Gavin Williams is selling, man. I think that guy's a future star.
And it's annoying because Gavin Williams comes up to triple because Tanner Bybee goes up to the majors, who was even better at the big leagues with his big league debut. I mean, Bybee was absolutely awesome up there, so congratulations to him. But when you look at Gavin Williams, you talk about the pitch breakdown. He threw 44 fastballs. He threw 25 sliders. He threw 12 curveballs and 7 changeups. And, he's still in the process of finding the feel for that pitch. I love to hear what you said about the curveball looking good, because I have more faith in that pitch being the definitive third offering for him. But I think it almost breaks so much that he's struggling to locate it. Even in that outing, I think he threw 12 of them, and 7 of them were for a ball, but they were effective balls, right? It was that drop out of the zone, and if guys take it, that's a good take. But at least it's something that they have to think about, and I think that's all he's looking for. What I love about Williams in that first start is I see a guy that's trying to make it to the big leagues. I think when he got promoted to triple, I'm assuming the Guardian said, hey, you got to have a little bit more of a feel for that third pitch. And if you do, if you find a third pitch that you throw a bit more, if you throw that change and curve a little more frequently, we'll bring you up. And I think that's what there was a concerted effort to do, because the first few starts, it was so fastball slider heavy. And those pitches, we already know those are going to play. We already know he's going to get big league outs with that. But the difference between being more of a middle of the rotation guy and potentially a 2, I think is that feel for a third pitch. Otherwise, you got to be so otherworldly perfect with the fastball slider. We talked about Strider. Williams' slider, I think, is elite. Fastball is really good. I don't think it's good enough to be that 2-pitch guy. It's not Christian Javier. It's not Spencer Strider. It's good. It's a plus fastball, but it's not a 70 fastball. And I think it's got to be 270 pitches if you're going to be fastball slider guy.
Yes, for sure. I'm looking at the data right now, and it's pretty interesting. So there's like a shortcut that's a little too complex to walk you through on a podcast right now to get the Baseball Savant game feed for AAA games. So I can get it for International League games and PCL games. So I can pull up Gavin's game feed right now, and it's not some back-end data that like I need a username and password to. And if we do want to walk somebody through like how to access this, I can look at Gavin Williams in the same way that you can look at a pitcher on Baseball Savant. Yeah. But just pulling up like his Baseball Savant game feed from yesterday, spin is interesting. The velos are interesting too, but I love the point you make there where I don't know if the fastball slider tandem is good enough to get through a start in an elite start like a Javier or a Strider, because Christian Javier, if you look at the fastball in a vacuum, it's one of the best four-seam fastballs in baseball. Yeah. If you look at the slider in a vacuum, it's one of the best sliders in baseball. Strider, same deal. That slider might be the best slider in baseball aside from Ohtani's sweeper. So you look at those two guys, they have 2 elite of the elite offerings. Gavin Williams has 2 excellent offerings, but not elite of the elite. So just running you through his game feed, Gavin Williams threw 89 pitches. 40 fastballs, they sat 95. He topped at 97.9. It was 2,100 RPMs, which is weird. Like that feels like a misread. You may have different data, but this is what Savant's spitting out.
Yeah, what I've got, he's generally sitting around 2,250.
Yeah, so he was 2,130 yesterday. It might have just been cold. Like he might have been spinning it better in Akron. Yeah. Slider, he threw 23 sliders. He sat 84 there. He sat at about 2,200 RPMs. Curveball, he threw 13 curveballs and then 10 sinkers, pitches that profiled as sinkers at 2,100. He sat 92 there, but the curveball sat 73.7 and was a 2,200 RPM pitch as well. So pretty interesting that he was doing that. And if I've got the strike count on this, let's see. He threw 13 curveballs. 31% of them fell into the strike zone. Yeah. I'm not sure the amount of that, but that is pretty low. Will tell you though that pitch was a great taste breaker. Felt very Rodon curveball-esque.
And it's all it needs to be. So I mean, Gavin Williams is a special pitching prospect, but to that point, like we were talking about how we have him ahead of Bybee. if I did it over again, there's a chance I think Bybee would be ahead of him. That said, both very, very good. Both have looked very, very, very talented in their respective debuts. Williams in triple, Bybee at the big league level. And I think Williams is a handful of starts away from proving that he's ready for the big leagues. I think it's that third pitch. It's a little bit more fastball consistency, but you saw a pretty awesome debut there. Before we get to Ezequiel Tovar at 25, who's technically graduated, but we wanted to go through the top 100 list, and then we will update it with the graduations and the new players in, who we'll always highlight. When something's changed in the top 100, obviously we won't go through the whole list again until we do the whole midseason update, but there will be plenty of newcomers because we'll have a handful of guys graduated by the time we finish, the final episode here. But Matt McLean has been unbelievable. His stretch has been insane because when you saw him on kind of a bad stretch. All of a sudden he's put it all together. And I think he's somebody that needs to be called up relatively soon. Going over his like most recent stretch, which this Louisville Bats team, that's got to be the one team in the minor leagues right now. If I'm a pitcher, I don't want to face. Point blank, period. Christian Encarnacion Strand had 5 hits the other night. Ellie De La Cruz is all the way back, looks alive. They sent Will Benson down there. He's no slouch, obviously. And then Matt McLean has been a machine. You go over his last 8 games, 462, 622, 769. He's 12 for his last 26 with 7 strikeouts and 10 walks. He's walking a ton. He's patient. The approach is worked out. I was talking about why I thought the approach was he was almost too passive. Now he's patient. He's towing the line properly now. The power is there. It's impossible to deny the power. He's hitting the ball in the air more, above average exit velocities. He's playing a little bit all over. I think he reminds me a lot of Chris Taylor of a couple years ago with the skill set. He's going to whiff a little bit. You're going to have to palate that, but he's going to hedge it with walks. He's fast. He can play all over, and he has kind of this frame-defying power. Matt McLean should get the call up soon. Just wanted to highlight him. And then I wanted to we haven't talked about James Outman since we really just highlighted him as the 80 whatever ranked prospects. You took James Outman. I don't know exactly how early, but I thought it was comically early in our redraft that we did. That would have been the 2018 redraft or the 2019 redraft.
2018 with Taylor Davis. You guys, I think TD really appreciated that I took Outman because I think he's seen how impressive that guy is. You were like, come on, man, because I mean, he's 25 years old at the time, right? He's about to turn 26, but it was like I think it was near the end of the 2018 redraft. I think it was in the mid-20s, and you were like, I mean, yes, I see it, but I think that there are better guys on the board. Doesn't look like there are many better guys on the board than James Outman.
No, point blank, there are not very many better guys on the board so far. The question is, does it continue? I think it would be silly to just say, no, it won't. Another guy that's going to whiff, but the speed, the power, the approach, the gamerism in him, like just the way he plays the game, this guy's going to be a piece. And I think that's very clear. So I wanted to just, give you the hat tip there. Because there's people that have probably listened to every episode since then, or at least listened to that one or listening to this one. They're probably like, oh, is Aram just going to pretend that never happened? Jack's been so respectful, hasn't brought it up. But no, dude, it's really cool to see a story like James Outman. The Dodgers need him so badly with the struggles of David Peralta, who was supposed to be that left-handed outfield bat. He's been really special. So it's funny that he's in the back half of the top 100, and we were some of the only ones to even have him as a top 100 prospect going into this year. And he's exceeded our expectations too, I would say, especially mine. But I'd still say even you, the high guy on James Outman, did not expect this.
No, man, I saw a 24-year-old in high A, and I was like, I like him. Like, I'm going to stamp him as mine. But, you never do that with 24-year-olds in high A. He's exceptional, and he is – I think he proved that he was the exception to the rule when he was in high A. Like, hey, this guy is above the average age of the hitter in the Midwest League. But usually those guys are immediately thrown to the wayside.
Yeah, I do think we use age as a negator a little bit too much.
Too much. And I think the Dodgers are kind of the best example of prospects that can transcend the age limitations. So like Ryan Noda was a Rule 5 pick, and Ryan Noda was a big leaguer in 2022 on pretty much every other team in baseball aside from the LA Dodgers. Noda was above average, older than the average age of hitters at every level that he was at. Thing was, he was always hitting at a high clip. Ryan Ward is kind of this year's Ryan Noda, right? Last year of control, and you think Ward may be a Rule 5 pickup. I think Outman kind of fell into that. Yeah, right when I hopped on the Zoom, you were like, we got to do a couple of I told you so's. Like, I got to tell you so on McLean, and you got to tell me so on Outman. McLean, I will wear the L, even though I don't think I said that I was out.
No, you didn't say you were out on him.
Yeah, just underwhelming week. But Joey Votto struck out a billion times that week, and Ellie and CES were on the mend. Like, I didn't see them play. So it was a weird week for Louisville. It was a weird week for McLean. It's great to see that he bounced back. I felt like I was objectifying James Outman a couple weeks ago when I said that dude is tooled up, because that's what he is, man. Like, he's got insane speed, he's got insane pop. The glove is crazy. And yeah, there were a lot of things that James Outman is doing now with the LA Dodgers that I didn't have on my bingo card, like being one of the best WAR accumulators in baseball, not on my bingo card. Being one of the best defensive outfielders in baseball, I did not have that on my bingo card. But we knew that was in there on his best day. Just turns out his best day has been replicated time and time again through the first month.
And that's the name of the game, man. That is the name of the game.